tea cookie. Which are the ones that were the peanut butter ones? Those the tag-alongs?
There's two. Tag-alongs are like a peanut butter Twix, and then the Do-si-dos are a sandwich cookie.
And now we're live.
Yeah. Support your local troops.
Support your local troops. Girl Scout cookies, delicious. I know. In my lifetime, I've seen we've had boxes and boxes in our house, as my wife was the cookie mom, so it's pretty interesting stuff. Anyway, talking about cookies and other things. Privacy.
Anyway. Really good segue.
That's good. Yeah. Thank you.
Let's talk privacy.
So I was kind of opening up. I just want to say thanks to everyone for liking or watching, subscribing. We're getting some great engagement. We're getting some great feedback from people. As always, please send us your ideas, send us your questions. We love answering them, and we want to keep going. So what today is, we're going to talk about is online privacy. It seems like something that would be so rudimentary, but it more complicated as time goes on. Now with this being home more, using different computers, it will be a great time to go back a little bit, refresh it, and have some new information. So this is one of the core pieces of Valiant as a company's philosophy about security, and we want to make sure to get it out there to you so everyone can see it. So I think we're going to start. Let's just kick it into our first part, which is maintaining privacy in the workplace. I think it's really important that that your privacy, your corporate data keeps safe. And so I'm going to let Justin and Marianne kick it off.
Sure.
So
yeah, I'd say really the biggest difference between like a small, medium-sized business and a larger enterprise organization in terms of keeping data private or keeping it secure is not that there is any, I would say, less of a risk. It's more of a different kind. Whereas in a large enterprise, there's going to be lots of oversight on things, but there also is going to be potentially directed targets, like looking at a big company, someone will be like, oh, that would be a great thing to try and get information out of. Smaller organizations are more targets of opportunity. I think, like we've said in a previous podcast, episode, it's like walking through a parking lot and trying to open doors just to see what's unlocked, as opposed to staking out a house and trying to break in. So but a lot of the things that you do to keep your data secure and private are the same across those two.
Right.
I find that a lot of companies, we always talk about how security is a balance between convenience and security, and I mean you need both, because if your security if everything was secured, no one could do any work.
Right.
But I think privacy tends to get sacrificed a lot for convenience, because it's things like, being able to log into something that is like attached to your Facebook, not as secure as having its own password, but at the same time, I don't want to remember all those passwords. So that's a thing that people tend to do is
right. And I think one other piece of privacy that's really important for businesses and people that collect data on staff members is that they're responsible for making sure that privacy is maintained. Such as social security numbers, bank account numbers, GDPR, and kind of health records, anything they make, health record status, insurance status, all that stuff is a business's responsibility to make sure that is being safeguarded, private, both from internal threats or internal prying eyes, if you will, to the external places. And I think we tend to overlook the internal threat. The internal threat level can be actually a more dangerous place than the external side, because if you think about it, and even it could be accidental, or it could be just the classic, like, hey, what's in this drawer here? Holy smoke, that's everyone's reviews.
You open the copier and then it's like, oh, hey, it's someone's offer letter or something like that.
Exactly. Not that some information should be so secret, but it is private. There are some things that should be shared, correct? And so you really want to keep it like you want to have some kind of like program around maintaining the privacy of the data and have it be somewhat formalized. So it's really important in businesses to do that. And I think that one of the other things that happens in many businesses is that there is breaches in a business, and people don't even if they don't know what happens, that's a whole different problem that we'll talk about another day. But let's say they do know the breach happened, they do see that, they do know that someone was mucking around inside the network. Maybe you don't know the extent of it, just because it's not clear. The forensics that happened for whatever reason. There is an obligation for the company and the management to protect the company's the safeguards of the staff. A lot of times that becomes a credit checking or credit monitoring application or a notification, that sort of thing.
I know for that.
Yeah,
exactly.
So really, for an organization, like for business, you really can break it down into 4 areas, 4 things that you should do. One is data classification, and that is being able to identify what things you have that are important or to keep private, or not important to keep private, is just as good to identify, so that you can be clear on the two. And there's a lot of tools built into tools that we work with. Office 365, G Suite have tools that let you do that, where you can label things either manually or automatically. Then the second one is prevention. That's going to be the things that you do to make sure that that data stays safe. And that's everything from setting up permissions to, I know we're, and Marianne can attest to, very big on training.
Yes.
We have, Marianne put together a really excellent security best practices that we do for all of our clients, but it's also available on our site. So you can just go and watch the same course that we give out to our customers, with some basic security things that you should be doing. And prevention also includes things like antivirus, stuff like that. The next thing is detection, is being able to tell when those things are something has happened. And that can start to get tricky, especially for smaller businesses. But there are tools built into things like Office 365 and G Suite and other applications that, if you're doing classification, you can do. And the last one, which is not so much a technology and more of a policy, which is a response. That we have this in place, we have protections, we have a way to know when something is going to happen. When something happens, what's our game plan for what we're going to do? And that doesn't necessarily need to be anything super complex. It may be as simple as identifying what was lost, what was breached, and notifying the person that, hey, your information might have been out there.
Yeah, I think exactly right. I mean, and this is like the scratching the surface. This is a whole. Each one of those segments could be hours, and if not, a whole textbook of what it is. So, with that,
but if you want to learn more, ask us, and maybe we'll do a segment on one of those.
Exactly. Questions, and there's a link there if you are interested in reading a little bit more how we do it, some of our concepts and service. With that, and I think what I think is sometimes a little more succinct or more present is the need for personal privacy online. That's become a very hot topic in terms of like who's collecting what data, where is it, and I think the term that I like, and a couple people in our organization threw out there, was treat your privacy like money, value and protected it, which I thought was really, people don't realize that they sign up for things, and so you should really think about the information you share. So, I mean, JP, what do you guys, what are your thoughts on that, and kind of walk us through?
I mean, in some ways, your data is money because it gets monetized and gets used for things. And
sold. Someone's making money on your data. It's not you.
And
that's right.
There's always a trade-off. I mean, what was the one? I used Google, an Android phone, and Google Maps, and it tracks where I go and where I do things. And to some people, that's creepy. It's like, oh, it knows where it's going. And to other people, to me, it's like, okay, yeah, I know I'm giving that data to them, and I'm comfortable giving that data, but I'm making that decision because I looked at what it was. And I think that's something to keep in mind too, is to know what data you are giving away and what you're getting in exchange for it, and know if it's worth it.
Yeah, and they use it a lot. Like, one of the things that they say that they're tracking you for is to give you a better experience, and in some ways that's true. I was writing an article about using incognito mode, and when I was looking for examples on my Facebook, it was like, suggested for you, dachshunds, and I was like, yes, please send me more baby dog stuff. But at the same time, then later it was like sending me ads that like are more effective at lightening my wallet, or
Right.
maybe I just was curious about this thing and now it's popping up all the time. So they do use that information both for you and against you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good.
So, and there's some things you can do to help figure out what data you're sending, or to keep yourself keep your personal data private. I think the standard stuff that we've talked about, not reusing passwords, using a password manager, these things are still good to help you protect against accidental data loss, like somebody getting into your account and getting things. But there's also, I think, some things that you can do for data that you're giving away. I know there's plugins you can do that are ad blockers and hacker blockers, and they will make certain websites not work because certain websites rely on that information to give you the stuff that they're giving you. But if you're concerned about what information you are giving out, you can put those things in place.
Right. Yeah.
And also, I recommend reviewing what your accounts are shared with. So like I mentioned before, sometimes you can use Facebook or Google to log into things, but they both have ways that you can check. Just go to your security settings. You can check where your information is shared to, and you can be like, oh, why is this still being shared to how old am I going to look when I'm older? Unshare. You can do that as well.
Right.
Yeah. And I think the next piece of your personal data is the stuff that you put out there on purpose, on your own.
Yeah.
So I know, if you post picture, so I'm going to go back to Facebook as the example, and I mean, there's lots of social media sites out there, but you should look at what do like a privacy and security review, and look to see what your posts, what content that you're putting out there, who can have access to that, who can see that. Are you limiting it to just your friends, just people that you know, or is it open to everybody? Or even if it's open to friends and friends
just
of
your
friends,
yeah.
Then there's
I've been out of college for 10 years, and I made Facebook friends with everybody I met in college.
Yeah.
And so these people I don't know, can see.
And how many of them are how many, all it takes is one person who accepts every friend request that comes in that you're a friend with, and now your friends of friends can see things that you post. Then the question is, okay, is there really a danger in people seeing the stuff that I'm posting? And the answer to that one too is maybe. It depends.
I think it's something you have to determine yourself, what your tolerance for with that exposure is, how you feel it works in terms of all that stuff. It's I think one of the comments that came in was rules of drunk dialing apply to internet too. So this is how yes, you don't want to post things at 3 o'clock in the morning that you may regret later in the day. But that being said, so who sees it, that sort of thing.
And even if it's something that you don't necessarily think as scandalous or dangerous, it's still a question of who the audience is. If you post that you're going on vacation, and then you post pictures that you're on vacation, and somebody knows that, well, you're not home, and whatever they were looking to do, now they know that it's just information that you've given out. There was a classic phishing scam going around years ago that was sending an email to people that were connected to somebody on Facebook or social media when they were on vacation, saying like, oh no, I lost my passport and my wallet got stolen and I have no money. I need you to send wire money to this account, and so I can get my stuff back. And very easy for someone. Yeah, it worked for a lot of people because that cousin that you haven't talked to in 8 months saw that you posted a picture that you're on vacation, and then got an email from an email address they don't recognize, but it's still your name. They might fall for it, and maybe it's not something huge. It's not $10,000, but it's still something.
It's something, and it exposes your. This is a bad all around for everyone, except for the person.
Yeah. You go down a rabbit hole on the way your privacy can affect people being scammed. You yourself as well, because as soon as they get a little information, that's foot in the door, and you're like, oh, well, they know my mother's maiden name, so they are from the IRS. That's
right.
Yeah, and yeah, it does spiral from there. There was a week or so ago, there was a hospital system that got breached with a phishing attack. Somebody inside the organization fell for a phishing scam, and accidentally gave access to information, but then that led to all the patient information that they got access to being released and being available, and then from there it goes further. So now each one of those each one of those people that had their information breached, where does it jump off from there? It's like, okay, well, now I have a name and a social security number and an address. What am I going to do with that? And take it one
probably
step
their
further.
information. Hi, I'm calling from Aetna.
Exactly.
I made the phone thing even though I'm wearing a headset.
Well, all right, excellent. And the last one that we just wanted to kind of touch on is because I think it's so, once again, timely, is children's privacy online. That's a really controversial topic. There's a lot of kind of thoughts on. Some people have like zero exposure of kids online. Other people post their entire child's growth in childhood online. And once again, that's a very much personal choice. But I think one of the things that we see a lot is that for kids, they are more exposed.
Sure. Well, and also you don't have as much of a choice now because kids are going to school online. So even though schools have been pretty good, or at least, anecdotally, schools have been pretty good about like limiting what the children can access, they're still on a computer. They still have access to the internet. So even if you were like, no, they're too young to do that stuff, not anymore. They are online. They are doing classes online, and it's only a matter of time before they start using it for extracurriculars.
It's exactly. One of the things that you want to have some positive reinforcement or positive engagement with the kids, is to kind of keep them honest. You don't want to use control mechanisms because I don't know, but I know when I was a kid, and most kids are pretty smart. When they want to do something, they'll figure out a way around it. There's some areas here where you can put in place either some kind of DNS control. Cloudflare just came out with some new child access control. It's a 111.1 for kids, for families. Pretty interesting stuff. And
it sounds really daunting, but it's really easy to do if you're doing it, and you can do it per device. So you can the 1.1.1.1. It's got it sounds daunting, but if you want, you can install the app on an iPad, and now this iPad has content filtering just automatically. So if it flags something as pornography or like super inappropriate, it will flag it and won't let it get through. So you can still go on your computer and watch Westworld. That's the most suitable for work example I came up with. But your kids won't, even if they're like not even thinking like, oh, my kid wouldn't look for it. Well, great, maybe they wouldn't, but
accidentally
they might click something wrong, or they could be looking up something that they think is normal, and it comes up with a lot of different search terms as well. So
think about how easy it is to accidentally, even yourself click on something or search for something and get like, oh, that's not what I was looking for at all, and that's
or even those like endearing things where the kid is writing a note to their mom and they want to say like, my mom is a hero, but they switched the O and the E. I just saw that one on there, and it was like, my mom is a okay. No.
Exactly. So again, with kids and just in young children in general, it's their privacy is a special thing, and it just be protected and focused on as its own thing. And once again, just talk to them. That's why I find in my own family, we just kind of say, "What are you guys up to with that?" Kind of follow it. Of course,
when I grew up, it was the Wild West, and I talked to all strangers, even though people were like, well, you don't meet strangers. But I don't think anyone ever said, like, don't talk to strangers. But still, don't tell your kids not to talk to strangers. Tell them, the rules of YouTube and all that stuff.
And also, the other one just to keep in mind is online gaming platforms like Xbox Live or PS4, Nintendo. They may talk to strange people. You want to kind of give them the instruction of who they talk to when they talk to them, that sort of thing. So I think with that, we're kind of wrapped up for today. You guys have anything else?
Actually got a comment.
We had a live comment.
I didn't see that. Hold on, who's that from?
From Mr. Stefan Kaup.
That's great. I love it. Hold on, Stefan. It seems like every small retailer's website I visit a pop-up request my current location. Is there harm in allowing? Can it help me with deals possibly? That's a tough
Yeah.
one, Steph.
The answer to both of those is maybe and
Maybe.
maybe. It depends
Yeah.
on this is and goes into it's a spectrum of balancing between convenience and privacy and what data you want to give out and for what purpose and what you possibly are going to get out of it.
Right.
And depends. I know for me, I've given my location to let's say the pharmacy that I use because it's a chain, and if I'm somewhere else and I'm going, I want it to direct me to the most recent or the most closest one
Most close one.
because that's what I want to use it for. If I go to like a another retail store thing and it asks me for that, I may not really care to give them that info because I don't want them really knowing where I am, and I can just select the store closest to me
Right.
because I'm
Yeah,
not
I mean,
moving around. It all
definitely.
depends on, yeah.
I would say think about if knowing your location helps you. So it's another one of those things, you're giving them information and they can use it for you.
Mhm.
But can they, and do they need it? I mean,
Right.
truth be told, location awareness is for websites is usually fine, but again, don't give out more information than you need to. Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, there's a difference between if you allow it on your laptop or a desktop, and you do want to make sure if you're also connecting that data to your phone, because your laptop or your desktop location may just be based on your internet connection, and that they can kind of figure out anyway. But if you allow it on a site and it's syncing those settings, or you're syncing data from your phone, and your phone has GPS built into it, that's a different level of tracking and being able
Right.
to say like, okay, you are in this particular spot. And yes, in some cases you do get good deals with that. You walk past a block that has a certain store on it, and you get a pop up that
hey,
says,
got a discount
yeah,
on a latte.
yeah,
Yeah.
I get that. Going to the office on a regular basis, I get a pop up that says, by the way, you haven't come in and bought anything from us for a while, so we'll give you a free coffee if you do.
Oh,
And I know that they're going to do it, so I wait for them to do it and get my free coffee. And
nice.
to me, it's worth giving that info
But
to you.
invariably,
If you
But
find that creepy, then don't allow it. Don't do
but
it.
honestly,
invariably,
not even creepy though, but on your phone, like it takes resources
Yeah.
for your phone to be contacting them and them contacting you and back and forth. So
right.
it's also just like, even if it's like, well, there's no harm, or maybe, but if it's not something that you're getting a benefit from, don't do it because it's going to use your phone resources. It's going to use just that tiny bit extra of your 4G. Don't
Right.
do it.
Connectivity. So, yeah, thank you, Steph, for that great question. We love
Yeah.
it. We love them. Keep them coming.
Mhm.
But with
I say,
that,
but I've used that to, like what Justin said, trying to find out the local Home Depots to see who has toilet paper.
Mhm.
It's still none, but I tried by using my location awareness and seeing what the local ones were.
yes, the toilet paper thing is a very important thing, and that actually gets us into our next
Mm.
segment. But give me a second. As I say, thank you. This is super useful. I think there's a lot of good information here. There's a lot of threats, a lot of pieces that we have to kind of be more aware of, especially as we're more reliant on this online life with the COVID-19
Mhm.
situation.
Yeah,
And
I do want to say for our customers, definitely, if you're curious about your information security or want to put those policies in place, please reach out. For
yes,
other people, you can talk to your IT department or your IT provider, and see what kinds of things are being done.
mhm. Yeah, exactly. And one of the things, a resource we really like is staysafeonline.org. Really
Mm.
great way to just read up on it, give you some great tips and tricks and way to work. And then we're a National Cybersecurity Alliance champion, and we want to be out there just talking about this because I think it's such a critical piece of our responsibility to our customers and to
Mhm.
cyber citizens out there. So if you have any questions, please let us drop us a line. Love to hear from you. And with that, subscribe, share, whatever you guys think is best.
Yeah, share it for people you think
Share.
need it.
Need it, or if you, and once again, they have questions, shoot at us. And our next session is actually really interesting and really exciting. And
Mm.
it was one of our Valiant staff recommendations from our own Charles Dean, who's a fascinating individual. He's going to be a very special guest next week. Next week on Friday.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about how technology supply chain is going to affect our business, our ability to maintain operations and business, and kind of a general situation that and he's been kind of keeping careful tabs on it. He's a totally fascinating individual, and I cannot wait to have him.
No, it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
it's going to be really useful because it's going to put some idea of what things that we can expect and how we can better plan and work together to make sure that we can keep operating. So with that, I'm going to wish everyone a great day and stay safe. Thank you.
Thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right, bye now.